Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. This is episode 323, and I'm your host, Sean Hayes. We're here to bring you the latest and greatest gaming news of the past week. And, excuse me, boy, oh boy, do we have some news. Ah, it seems like, and a lot of it is just like a continuation of last week. And then I think the Lorcana news that I have for this week is yeah. Um, so because I do the podcast on Saturday, it's like it won't be new news to anybody that actually follows the topic, but yeah, big shakeup in the Lorcana competitive scene. So hope everyone's doing well. There is like 4 inches of snow out right now, and I'm mad about it. So we're off to a great start this morning. So why don't we get right into our news topics for the week? So first up, I guess not to be outdone, Screen Rant reports that Jeremy Crawford, D&D's lead rules designer, is also going to retire at the end of the month. So last episode of the podcast last week, Chris Perkins had announced that he was retiring, and so now I guess Jeremy Crawford is also retiring as well. In the interview, so the interview was not with Jeremy Crawford. It was with oh geez. It was with who was it with? Why? Oh, Jess Lanzillo, Wizards of the Coast VP of Franchise and Product, Dungeons and Dragons. That this was apparently the 2 retirements were sort of planned for some time, and it sounds like with the lead up to the 2024 rules update and 2025 monster manual, that for these 2 it seemed like a good capstone for their careers, and that it was a good time for them to just like step back and retire. So plans were in place. So this isn't like at least the corporate speak is that this isn't some sort of reactionary thing or that they're being forced out or whatever. Because it would be weird, like, to force people out after being with the company for almost 30 years, and especially overseeing the wild success that 5th edition had and continues to have. So, you know, uh, yeah, I guess best of luck to you, Jeremy Crawford. I did browse the Acquisitions Inc. Discord, just to see. It sounds like that they might still continue with Acquisitions Incorporated, those 2. But I don't know. So yeah, I have to admit it's gonna be real weird, like seeing the 2 leads essentially, uh, not being a part of like the promotional stuff for Dungeons and Dragons anymore. Um, so they have talked about. So I guess there aren't any concrete plans in place for any promotions or replacements or anything. But it looks like James Wyatt, Wes Schneider or Snyder, um, just looking through, are sort of in the mix to kind of take over responsibilities for that. And then there was one other person. One other person. Justice Armand. So James Wyatt, Wes Schneider, um, will have a quote bigger place at the table, um, and Justice Armand would also have progressive leadership roles. So, yeah, we're gonna have to see how things go, and I think so. I think the 2025 Monster Manual. So Perkins said that was the last book that he worked on. Um, so they have said the roadmap is not affected. So it sounds like that the new books were being done with these teams, and they had taken a step back to do like a much higher up sort of bird's eye view of the roadmap. Um, but yeah, that's that. It's a huge shakeup and absolutely wild. So, yeah, I don't. So, I mean, as far as like Chris Perkins had mentioned, sort of what his plans for retirement were a while back, which was to kind of just not do anything and just fade from the spotlight. I don't know, you know, if Crawford is going to do the same thing, if he's just going to retire and just enjoy stuff or tinker with his own personal projects or anything like that, essential or freelance. Um, yeah, it definitely doesn't seem to be a great time to retire. uh, but I really hope the best for them. So, yeah. Well, we'll have to see what happens with both Dungeons and Dragons and Acquisitions Incorporated. So, next up, probably the biggest news item for today. Ravensburger has announced for the first time uh, card bans. So for organized play. Um, so this isn't the first time that they've taken steps to address sort of cards that are deemed as a problem for the meta. Because they did the weird sort of errata for Bucky, sort of back during set 3, set 2 or set 3, um, where they completely changed the card. So in this case, they've just decided to go forward with just banning outright. So the big one is Hiram Flaversham, which is a staple Sapphire card. But Fortisphere has also been banned. These bans are effective immediately, and the idea was to get them in place so that people would have time to adjust before any big tournaments, set championships, and things like that. So the reason why they've done this is that ever since set 7 launched, Sapphire has completely taken over the meta. And Hiram in particular is sort of the crux of it, in that Sapphire's whole deal is item cards and ramp. And the problem is Hiram lets you utilize your items to then get card draw, which is supposed to be sort of it's card draw is supposed to be a weakness of ramp as a strategy. Like, it's supposed to be that you aren't supposed to have easy card draw, because then there's no downside to ramping. And like, we see this in Magic. Like, when I started playing Magic, green had and still continues to have like almost all of the ramp effects in the game. But traditionally, green had like almost no card draw, and that was to like balance it out. And and like big stompy creatures and everything. And like Sapphire kind of fills that niche, except they also do like weird item stuff. Um, so for those who don't know, maybe you don't play Lorcana, but you play other TCGs. So Hiram costs 4 ink to play. He's a 1/6, and it's when you play this card and whenever he quests, you may banish one of your items to draw 2 cards. So that's really good. That's really good. The fact of the matter is, if you have an item in play, which if you're playing Sapphire, you will by turn 3, possibly not before turn 2, but like you could get Hiram out by turn 3. You will very very likely have an item in play because chances are your turn 1 play was a 1-cost item. In most Sapphire decks, it will probably be a card called Popsicle, which is another staple Sapphire card. It's an item that costs 1. When you play it, you draw a card. So it's like a cantrip item. But then you can also you can banish it to remove 2 damage from a character. That's that's like the minor thing. The big thing is that it gets you an item in play, and then it also replaces itself. So you have that in play. Then you play Hiram. You banish that. You draw 2 cards immediately. And then Sapphire has also been getting plenty of new cards that allow them to recycle items to get them back into your hand, back into your deck. And it's so those 2 alone as a combo were pretty good. Then we started getting some new stuff for Sapphire Steel. Namely, like there's a new Bell card, which is pretty bananas. She costs 3. She's a 3/3. She quests for 1. But you can sacrifice and you can banish an item to play her for free. So that was a big factor in this Sapphire Steel deck, which also ran Fortisphere, which again, like the ability that it has is whatever. Like you can banish it to give your character of yours like bodyguard and resist. The main thing is it's a 1-cost steel item that draws a card when you play it. Like I don't know if anybody was really using the abilities of either Popsicle or Fortisphere. It was just so that you could get an item in play without sacrificing any card advantage. And then having Hiram, to give you more card advantage. So Hiram was and I don't think this card would have been banned if he was like a 1/4 or a 1/3 even. Like he would still been great. But it's that 1/6 willpower is a lot of toughness to have to take out. So it often becomes like at least a 2-for-1 to take him out. Sometimes even a 3-for-1, unless you're playing Ruby. So, yeah. So now Sapphire players kind of scrambling to find card draw. There's a couple other new options that are not nearly as efficient, but could see play. For steel, the price of Doc, which is kind of a steel staple now, has gone up. Like he was already kind of a staple before in steel archetypes, unless you're playing with a color that has a lot of card draw. But yeah, he costs 2. Doc costs 2. I think he's like a 2/2. Quest for 1, but it's when you play him, you can discard your hand to draw 2 cards. So it's really good for if you're in a top decking situation or you play out your hand and then you can play Doc and put 2 cards back in. and just keep your stuff playing. Very popular with aggro decks. Um, but yeah, so this marks the first official set of bans for the game. Um, so they have said they are watching other cards in particular to see if they become problematic. So I have a sneaking suspicion that Diablo Devoted Herald will is at least on the watch list. Um, and we'll have to see if Discard comes back as a top meta deck. It was kind of like in the mix, but it fell out of favor just because of this card, because of Hiram. Because before, Discard could have a good matchup against Sapphire in that you could just deny them any card draw, but with Hiram you can just outdraw the discard effects. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I also don't know what other cards would be potentially problematic because the only one that even comes close in terms of just being so good for value is Madame M Fox. But I don't I think Madame M Fox is a great card and a fantastic card, and there's a reason she's a staple in every Amethyst deck. But then again, I don't know if it's to the level of being ban worthy, as opposed to just being there's a reason it's a staple card and it's great and it is efficient, but it's also there's ways to play it. You can pretty much tell it's coming. And you can also play around it really easily. The problem with Hiram is you have to just try and destroy items as soon as they come out, which is difficult to do because it also means you're not developing your own board when doing that. So, yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. So I have Lorcana League today, so I'll be curious to see what the impact is on that. And then set championships are in 3 weeks, so I'm very curious to see how it shakes up with the lack of Hiram and Fortisphere. So, and Ravensburger did say that they did not want to ban Popsicle because they still wanted it to be an option for Ruby or for Sapphire decks in particular, but Fortisphere, number one, it doesn't fit in the sort of the color pie, if you will, of Steel, and the fact that it enabled a really oppressive play style for Sapphire Steel decks. And so they still have options with Popsicle, but it just mostly it means that you don't have 8 cards now that you can use to get a Bell out on turn 1. So, all right. So that was the big news. Again, trying to explain it as best as I can for folks who might not be familiar with Lorcana. And in which case, if you're not familiar with Lorcana, but you are interested, open play is at Mana Crypt in Pittsfield every Saturday. And the way it works is you get prizes for basically playing. And so regardless, if you even aren't great at the game and you lose every match, you still get points for playing. And it's if you get 10 points, that opens you up for prizes. Or getting certain amounts of points open you up to different prizes at different numbers of points for that week. So you can be, if you're not great at playing or you don't have great cards, as long as you just play enough matches, you are still entitled to the same prize pool that everyone else is. So, and yeah, it's a great group, folks. So come on down. It's also, I feel like Lorcana is easier to get into because it's Disney. So you don't have to worry about like all sorts of weird lore and stuff like that. Like there is a lore specific to the game, but yeah, it's all Disney characters, so it's much more accessible, I feel like. And there's still no out of turn interaction really. So if you're worried about like all sorts of magic shenanigans of the stack and instant speed or split second or having to worry about, oh, is this stuff going to get countered and things, that's not part of Lorcana. So it's kind of reminiscent of Hearthstone a little bit. So but instead of trying to reduce life totals, is you are gaining lore. So yeah, very interested to see how this shakes up. If anything, it puts my position much better as an off-meta player. I feel like now I might have a chance. So we'll see. Next up. So it was either last week or the week before. Talked about Hori's Piranha Plant camera. And I said there's going to be a reason why this is cheaper than the official one, despite like it being so much better. Like it looking so much better. And Nintendo Life has reported why. Apparently, so the official Nintendo Switch 2 camera supports up to 1080p. This one only goes up to 480p. So it's a standard def camera. It's not a high def camera. Granted, that might be fine. I tend to prefer high def. So unfortunately, Piranha Plant camera, not going to be a thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe I think it would make for a great like Christmas or birthday present as like an extra camera. It's just so whimsical. I love it. So yeah, so that's the reason why it is I think like $10 cheaper. Is it's not the same quality of camera. I wish Nintendo had done something like this as the standard. So, but also like for like, could you put a 1080p camera in there for $10 more, or even $20 more? Like even if it was $10 more than the official one, then I would still buy the Piranha Plant camera instead. So there you go, folks. Next up. So for those who aren't in the know, the United States is no longer the only country to feel the pain of tariffs throwing chaos into Nintendo's release plans. Nintendo of Canada announced, I believe it was on Tuesday of this week, so on the 8th, that pre-orders for Switch 2 are also delayed until further notice because of the United States. So, if there are any Canadian listeners of this podcast, or for any friends or associates, colleagues of mine that are Canadian, I'm so sorry that we are causing these problems for you. Believe me, There's lots of Americans out there, especially ones who are on the border, on the Canadian border or close to the Canadian border, like say the Pacific Northwest, Minnesota, New England, New York, um, who did not ask for this. We did our part to make sure to try to make sure that it didn't happen. So again, I apologize. It was bad enough that it was just us, but now we're also taking down other countries too. So that's great, folks. Uh, Meanwhile, The Verge, according to The Verge, had an interview with Doug Bowser, president of NOA. The Switch 2's current price tag, so the 450, does not factor in tariffs. Now, whether this is just spin or not, I don't know. I still think 450 is not a bad price tag for what we're getting. I think it was just the fact that it was like $50 more than what the rumors were. But yeah. I mean, the Switch was $299 8 years ago. So, and I think I've seen a lot of discourse about this, and I think I have to agree with the fact that like this is not going to be a budget console, and I think people are upset when it's been 3 console generations of Nintendo being the budget console. And I don't know if that's just like younger folks. Because I mean, I don't know. I'm old. Nintendo was always like it wasn't until the Wii where Nintendo really felt like a budget console, or had a budget console. So, you know, I'm just like, yeah, this is just business as usual. or a return to form. Um Plus it's also like you can't complain about like if you keep complaining about how you want Nintendo to put out a more powerful console, you then can't complain that it's not hyper cheap. Especially compared to, and here's the thing, I think it's still going to be hyper cheap compared to the other consoles. And the fact that, for that price what you're getting is way better. I mean, we've been talking about the PS5 Pro not having a disc drive. Like, what? So I don't know. But yeah. Now it could be that like no, they actually did plan for that, but like there's not really, if there isn't any internal communication or anything that states that, it could just be spin. I think. Well, and it could have been, to say that it did not factor in tariffs, because then like there may have been a public perception that, oh well, if the tariffs went away, then they'll do a price drop then. So, yeah, I'm just hoping. I just want to find out when I can pre-order it. That's what I want. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But I have seen folks who have gone to like the Nintendo Switch 2 experience events, were really impressed. So, very excited. And the fact that it's less than 2 months away now. And then finally, our last topic of the day. Again, along with Stardew Valley, quite possibly best indie game or best indie developers. Vampire Survivors. Nintendo Life reported that it got another expansion. Emerald Diorama. It's a oh geez. It's like a collab with Square Enix for the Saga series. Like nobody asked for this, but of course it's I'm sure it's going to be fantastic. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but it's out now. It's free because of course it is. Like it is absolutely wild to me the amount of content that Vampire Survivors has that you don't pay anything additional for. But then when you do pay for the content, it's still like $2 to $5 for an expansion. So, yeah, it's great. Unfortunately, I don't recognize any of the characters, so I don't think any of them are from Saga Frontier. But they put the skill acquisition system in for this expansion. So it's when you use martial arts or swords or guns or whatever, you have a chance to unlock a special skill. And then, special skills then have a chance to unlock more special skills. This is how the skill system works for swords, guns, martial arts, and magic in the Saga series. And then like other different character types have other ways to do so. Like mechs are when you equip pieces of equipment, like that changes the abilities that you have. Like that's the only way that mechs get new abilities, or you can download from other mechs. But yeah, like the pieces of equipment that you slot in give you different abilities. Whereas like monsters you absorb abilities from other monsters, but then also the based on what monsters you have or what moves you have, it can transform your monster. It's wild. And like monsters can't get equipment. It's such a convoluted and complex system, and I love it. So I'm so excited for this to come to Vampire Survivors. I haven't played it in a while. I got to get back in. It's such a great little indie game. So yeah, Emerald Diorama out now, free. So yeah, and the base game is still like I don't know $3 or $4. I don't know. Maybe it's like $6 now. Who knows? But yeah, it's great. Go show those devs some love. That is going to wrap things up for this week, folks. So I hope you have enjoyed this episode of the 8-Bit Adventures podcast. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. If you would like to see more content from 8-Bit Adventures, you can check out 8bitadventures.com. Still under construction. Don't worry about it. I'll get there. I will finish it one day. Summertime, probably. I'll have a lot more free time on my hands. So, 8bitadventures.com. If you want to help support that content, the best way to do that is to be on my Patreon over at patreon.com/8bitadventures. Big shout out and thank you to all of my current patrons. Thank you for your continued support. Namely, it allows me to basically pay for or or offset the cost of like my Adobe Creative Cloud license, and for gaming stuff to look into. And then our opening theme is a one-up by Professor Shy Guy. You can find his work over at professorshyguy.bandcamp.com. So that wraps things up for this snowy Saturday episode. So hope you all have fun, Have a great weekend. Have a great week. Um, Now, a little bit of housekeeping. Uh, so there will be an episode next week. It will not be live because I will be traveling because we are going to my in-laws for Easter. Um, so I will not be home. So it won't be a streamed. So there won't be like a live stream of the podcast. It will be pre-recorded, but it'll go up all at the same times. Um, but my goal is to do that, is to not have gaps, and take weeks off or whatever. My goal is that we just, it might be a shorter episode, um, but to still get one out every week, um, and to not miss, say 3 months. So, and who knows? There may even be in the future, like if I'm on vacation, I even do one. No, because I don't have a laptop. uh, so it would involve having to do OBS. No. So disregard that. I'll put one out beforehand, and then if I'm like away for multiple weekends, I will figure something out. So, uh, otherwise, have a great time, everyone. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And as always, have fun, happy gaming, and enjoy your pie cake.